What's up, guys? Today I'm going to teach you 5 easy tricks and you get a sneak peek to a future video from this channel. I'll give you a hint. It's on my board right now. So when I do these, I usually do weird tricks because I've done how-to videos on every flip trick, grind, stall on this channel at some point over the last decade. But we're going to stick with some kind of normal tricks today. The first one I want to talk about is a pivot to fakie. So maybe it's a little bit easier with these Grind King lockers that I've been skating lately, but basically you learn to get into a pivot, which is just a 5-0 stall. So you're stalling on your heel side back wheel. So you're pinching your heel right there against the coping and holding this side of the wheel against the coping. You don't want to be all the way up, because if you're all the way up on the coping, when you try to go back into fakie, it's going to be a lot harder to not get hung up. So it's important that you're all the way in the ramp, pivoting just on that back heel side wheel. So learn to do a regular pivot. Just learn kick turns. You just turn in your front shoulder until you get all the way up on the coping and you feel and you hear that truck actually make contact with the coping. It makes a totally different sound than if just your wheel hits the coping. If the truck actually hits. There's the wheel, there's the truck. So you'll know if you actually did a little pivot or a little 5-0. You'll probably grind it a little bit at first. It's probably harder to just stall it than it is to grind it at first. But if you just want to stall it, just come at less of an angle. If you're coming with more speed and more angle, you're going to grind. If you're coming more straight on, slower, you're going to stall. So we'll talk about 5-0 to fakies, but with the pivot fakie, you're resting your weight on your heel, and then what I do is I start to turn my front shoulder into the ramp. So I think both feeble to fakie and axle stall to fakie are easier than pivot to fakie. But with the pivot to fakie, I like to kind of press off of the coping like I do with those tricks, but I'll turn my front shoulder and I'll get my front wheels like close to coming back into the ramp regular. See how they're coming back in regular? Now sometimes it doesn't do that. Sometimes I just go straight back in. But it's easier to kind of start to turn in so your weight is moving back into the ramp. And then as it gets here, then lift your weight up and kind of power slide those back wheels. That's easier so you don't get hung up. I don't think you can really get hung up on this ramp anyway. It's too mellow. But it's going to make it where it's harder to get hung up because you're already kind of in the ramp as you slide in. And you don't really want to put these wheels down and pivot. You want to actually power slide those back wheels in, lift this up. That's how you really do it. I mean, some people maybe will cheat and kind of pivot in if it's a really small, mellow ramp, but you're really wanting to go straight in like that. And then over time, you'll get better and you'll be able to just lift up and go right in. It's just muscle memory. It'll improve over time. All right, for the second trick, I want to talk about nollie Smith grinds. So a Smith grind is where you ollie up over the rail and then put your back truck on like this. A feeble is where you come and you ollie with just the front truck over the rail like this and land in the same position. So I think nollie Smith is easier than a Smith grind or a feeble grind. So you're just popping nollie and then just shoving everything over here. That's actually one of the reasons why I have a huge 1-inch, maybe more than 1-inch rail on this board to kind of lock in and hold myself in a Smith without having to really dip it down low. This is easier on a round rail than it is on a square rail like this. So the square rail, there's a lot of different options to kind of pinch. The round rail, it's gonna sit right in this little pocket right here. I think the nollie Smith is easier because you're already pushing your weight forward. With the regular Smith, all your weight's coming down onto the rail. A lot of times it will actually break board, slip into lip slide, or just stop because you're coming down and landing in it instead of pushing forward. With a nollie Smith, there's a lot of different ways to get out of it. You can just kind of lift up into a 5-0, come out, or you can start to front 180 off at any time. Also, I've also done the back 180s out. You can back 180 off of it if you're really locked in, or you can lift up into a 50-50. So it's all about being over the rail, but like right here, not too far over that you're falling off, but not too far over here that you're falling off this way. Being over it, putting your weight on your heel, and just kind of sitting in it. All right, so next I want to talk about a blunt stall. I've done a ton of these on YouTube on this tombstone at the top of this bank, but I'm probably going to show the clips from the indoor park. It's kind of the same thing, but I feel like it's a little bit easier there. It's more mellow. So with this, it's hard to land in that blunt without rolling up onto the deck, because you have to have just the right amount of speed to land here, not too little to land like this, and not too much to you know, kind of keep going. It's a lot of pressure on the back foot. It's easier if you have like a tail guard where you can lock in place right there and you can catch it. But yeah, you just land right there, put all your pressure right here, try to hold it. That's the hardest part. And then it's kind of easy to pop in. Just turn your shoulder, just ollie, do like a back 180 in, or it's like a fakie ollie, like a half cab back in. That might be scary for some people, but I have a hard time really explaining that part because I've been doing that for several decades now. But yeah, it's turning your front shoulder and just ollieing basically. So these pants are like 42s and they were like huge, really long and tall. So I cut them off before coming to the park today. I cut them off when I actually already had them on. So they look kind of crazy. These are barefoot shoes from Splay. They actually sent them to me. I'm working on doing a longer video about them, but they're really great. I told John that I'd use this clip in a video, like a how-to video. So let's do keep on trucking. I think that's what it's called. So this is a rock to fakie where your foot goes like this. So I can do these, they're not that hard. It's not something that was like a struggle to learn, but it's a little bit weird at first if you're not comfortable with your rock to fakies. You wanna be good enough at rock to fakies where you can get them decked out, like the back truck all the way up on the deck where the coping's hitting your back truck. And then you kind of want to be leaning into the ramp so you'll actually go back in and just lift your foot up like that. So the reason I have one rail as opposed to having rails on both sides is because it gives the perfect slide for me. So I don't have to worry about leaning forward and stopping and pinching. When I lean forward, it just kind of keeps sliding and slides faster, but I can still lean back and maneuver around a little bit. When I have two rails on the board, it slides so fast and I don't really have as much control. Maybe if I was like a contest skater or something, I might have to. But just the way it is, it feels easier for me to do weird tricks. Still be able to kind of lift up, but not get pinched. Like when you don't have a rail, you lean forward, it pinches and it flings you forward sometimes. So for me, that is just better. This, I switched boards. This is the SYS grip. It's a fabric grip, and I'm actually really liking it. I'm probably gonna keep skating this for a long time. I like this whole setup, honestly. So I switched to Apple ProRes log, and we're gonna put a Fuji Eternal LUT on it, so it looks like Fuji colors. I switched my hat. This hat got made fun of a lot on the internet, so I got 4 hate comments in one day on this hat, and I got 1 hate comment on it today. Somebody told me, that green hat makes you look like you were raised by a single mom. I don't know if that is supposed to be a compliment or an insult, but that's what happens when you have a TikTok and an Instagram and a YouTube channel. All right, so we already talked about the pivot to fakie. So if you're doing a 5-0 to fakie, it's the same thing. You just come with more speed and at more of an angle, and you'll grind. And it can be scarier to come back in to fakie. You'll probably go back in regular a bunch of times trying it, but the same thing, just swing in and slide. And it actually is easier for me, so I think it'll get easier over time. Now the feeble fakie, to me it's easier, but it's hard to commit to. So you get into a feeble, make sure you're good at just coming out regular, but you kind of have to push against the ramp. This is way easier if you have something to hold on to like they do in Japan or Europe, those things at the skate park where you hold on to it or like a rope, but you just kind of push back and lift. If you have a crash pad to land into to practice, that is a great way to learn this. It's also a great way to learn blunts. But yeah, you just push back. Yeah, you just kind of push up against it and you should be able to come in. Another way to do this is to lift up with your back wheel pinched against your heel, start to turn in regular, and then power slide in. You could even actually bring it to rock to fakie and come back in. You could do that with any of these. Pivot to rock to fakie. You could do 50-50 to rock to fakie. It's not that hard. I could probably do one without hitting the camera. I also wanted to say you could do the nollie smith on ledges, and that might be a little bit easier. I find ledges much easier than rails. So now we're still in log, Apple ProRes log, but now we're using the Stallman 3 LUT from Tyler Stallman. I think this is one of the best LUTs for the iPhone. So I have a camera channel. It's Camera Revenge, or you can look up Michael's Camera Revenge, where I talk about camera gear. I'm gonna start filming some of these videos on the Fuji 8mm lens on the XM5. This is the iPhone. This whole video is iPhone. So yeah, I know I've shouted out a bunch of different things in this video, but I just got so many things going on in my head all the time. Now we're back to standard iPhone colors. I was probably overexposed in all that log footage. I found with iPhones, you have to go at like at least 0.7 underexposed in the exposure compensation because they like to overexpose, especially on the skin. So yeah, that's at least 5 easy tricks on a skateboard. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll have more videos like this coming soon. I haven't done a lot of how-to videos lately. I've had so many products that I've been reviewing, and I still haven't done long form videos on most of them. So check out my shorts, check out my long form content, scroll through my channel. Got a bunch more stuff coming. Tomorrow we've got a video with Ricky from Braille, or ex-Braille member. So yeah, stay tuned. Thanks for watching.